You're listening to the Grow Landscapers podcast, the podcast where we delve deeper into landscape business, interviewing legends of the UK landscaping industry. So, join host Nick Ruddle as he explores their thoughts, insights and experiences. That's here on the Grow Landscapers podcast.
Hi and welcome to the Grow Landscapers podcast. I'm Nick Ruddle and today we're joined by more landscape royalty in the form of Ken White from Frost Landscapes. How you doing, Ken?
Very good, Nick. Nice to see you.
Great to have you on the show. I say landscape royalty because quite literally you've been involved in Royal Palace Gardens such as the Magic Garden at Hampton Court Palace and the Jubilee Garden. So I suppose you know where you really are touched with some royalty connections there. So am I right to say you've won, is it more than 80? How many Barley Awards have you won?
Over 80. I think we last count was about 84, and that was a few years back, and one grand prize and a number of principals and other awards. So we've won a few over the years. I think the first one was back 1972, 73, just after it started. I think it started around about then, yeah.
Wow. Well, then you're more than qualified to be on this podcast, and I'm sure people get a hell of a lot of advice and insights into how they can maybe model themselves on you and emulate what you've done. If they go halfway towards that, they'll be doing pretty well. So, well, thanks for coming on. Let's jump straight in, shall we?
Okay.
So, how long have you been in the industry?
Nice, easy one to start. I make it 32 years approximately, yeah. 30. So yeah, been about for a while now, yeah.
Yeah. So was that fairly early on from school, or?
No, I actually trained as an auto electrician when I first left school, but landscaping started for me. I've told this story before, but years ago I went to an all-girls school, bizarrely, and there was me and three other guys, and at that age, girls were quite yucky. And I used to jump the fence and help the deaf gardener at break time rather than have to play with all the girls. So that's probably where the interest in landscaping sort of started. And then I came back to 30 odd years ago when I was about early 20s, 21, 22.
How funny is that? So when you're that young, girls are yucky. If you were the three boys in a girls' school when you're about 13 or 14, I think there'd be a different
kettle of fish, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be quite scary, really, wouldn't it? Good stuff. Okay, so where did it all start for you then, in your landscaping career?
Yeah, so I was actually on the dole, and in those days they used to pay for a day out. Used to pay you to go to job interviews. So there was a job interview for Bristol Zoo for a gardener. So I thought, if nothing else, I'll get a day out at the zoo. So I went along there and got a job with Bristol Zoo, but I worked out on their estate, which used to grow all the cut flowers, the animal feed. It was almost a full working farm, wall garden. We grew all the bedding plants, so it was a great grounding. And so that's really where it began again. And then I started to go to college. From there, they used to do day release, as it was in those days. And yeah, worked for Bristol Zoo for a number of years, and then joined Bristol Parks Department and sort of worked there. I've been about a bit. I've lived in 24 towns and 3 countries in my 50 odd years. So I've been around a bit. But yeah, it all started in Bristol, and then did through the college. Went to Cannington College. I met Jerry Bonner, who some of your listeners might know.
Yeah.
Who's an ARB lecturer, and he trained at Royal Botanic Gardens, Edinburgh, and he told me that he thought that would be a good fit for me. So that's what I did. Applied to go to Edinburgh, and did what was known then as the DHE. So I did a sort of degree equivalent at there, and then from there I went to Kew Gardens and studied at Kew Gardens afterwards, and really fell into landscaping a little bit by accident. Never really wanted to be a landscaper, wanted to work in developing countries, wanted to save the world. And I did that for a little while. I worked on a couple of projects out in Mexico on ecotourism and coffee production and biological control. And then when I came back, I was looking for a job, and I found a job with a house builder that was doing landscaping. And then they realised my qualifications and became a supervisor, foreman, so on and so on. Then the rest is kind of history. But it was never really my initial intention, anyway.
Wow, so a real solid sort of formal grounding of education in horticulture, and good to get different experiences from other countries as well. I suppose you can bring a lot of that back. Yeah. Excellent. So, so how did you get involved with Frost Landscapes then?
Yeah, so I've only really had 3 jobs, I think, sort of 3 or 4 jobs. I worked with English Landscapes when it was English Landscapes for a while, and then I was looking for a change, and I saw a job going for Frost that was looking for an operations manager's role. So I went and interviewed for that job and got taken on as an operations manager, and then worked my way up through the ranks with them, really.
Right. So what was the what did the business look like at that point? So in terms of number of people, how big the turnover, kind of jobs you worked on, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it was very different to where it's ended up. So it wasn't huge in those days. I've been with them, I think 19 years now. Wow. It did about £3 million turnover as a total. We worked in grounds maintenance, private domestic, commercial landscaping, interior landscaping, and then we did a little while on Christmas tree hire. And then we mainly grew the landscape side of the business to its height, which was around about 18 million, which we did do about 3 million in grounds maintenance and interior, and probably 230, 240 employees. Wow. At the time we got it to before the change, anyway, before we got it to its height. Yeah.
Wow. So when you started, how many employees did it have then?
Grounds maintenance had quite a few, but I think probably in those days it was about 50. But there's a little bit of guesswork in that, Nick. But I would say around about 50 in the early days.
A huge growth then, up to sort of 230, 240.
Yeah, I think Frost was based on the edge of Milton Keynes, which was a new city or town at that point in time, 52 years ago, and as a garden centre. And I think it was quite fortunate in its location. It was a nursery before that, Poinsettia Nursery, and what it meant was they kept getting inquiries for landscaping works, and that's really where that side of the business grew. A lot of the initial works came from the new town of Milton Keynes being built, really.
Wow, brilliant. So good timing. So what do you think the most important elements are then to running a successful business? We'll start with that one.
Yeah, sure. Now we've had all the soft questions now, yeah? So now we're getting
now you've got to engage your brain really and think about it.
I think it's probably, well, not probably, it's having a clear strategy. I think it's having a clear strategy that everybody can align behind, that they understand where it's going, and being adaptable. I think that's the key. We've gone through many iterations, COVID being a fantastic example of what's going on, although it didn't overly affect the construction industry. But I think that ability to be adaptable and to change, and for everybody to understand who you are, where you want to go, what you want to do. And I always kind of say, well, let's start with the end in mind. There's been a few books written along that sort of topic, but start with where we want to end up. And work towards that. I've never believed in the mushroom stuff. My employees know how the business is doing. They know what the finances are. They know what kind of year we've had. I don't never made a secret of whether we've had a good year or a bad year. So I don't keep them in the dark.
Yeah, so communication, as always, with that kind of stuff and with everything in the business is so crucial, isn't it? Whether you're talking about the performance of the business or just how you communicate the strategy, how you get them aligned to that strategy so that everyone's got that common goal. I think it's really, really important. And it's interesting, the book you alluded to there, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yeah. If there's anyone listening to this and they haven't listened to or read or listened to that book, then Steve Covey, or Steve Covey as it's pronounced, as it's spelled. The Americans call it Covey, but it's spelled Covey. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of those 7 habits is starting with the end in mind. So some good principles to live by. Okay then. So really important to have a strategy to get people on the bus with that strategy, communicate.
On the bus deck. I've got that later on. Jim Collins. I absolutely love.
They're all coming out today.
I absolutely love. Well, I'm a mad reader on that sort of thing, and you know, like yourself with Action Coach on the side. I know you talk about it later, but I have a mentor. I read an enormous amount of text and take bits from everything that I feel is suitable, and maybe sometimes I chop and change too much. I've recently implemented the 12-week year on the basis that we work on the year being 4 quarters, and you can't carry things over from one quarter to the next. And we measure everything against performance in a quarter, and we try our best to deal with it. So a year is only 12 weeks, and we set 12-week goals, 12-week targets on that principle that sales targets get hit at the end of the year, don't they? Because the time's running out. So we run along that basis of the 12-week year.
Brilliant, great principle. And we all our clients come together every 3 months, all from all over the country. Some come flying from abroad, and it's exactly doing that's quarterly planning. So all are landscapers, all on the landscaping table, swapping ideas, coming out with a plan for the next 12 to 13 weeks. Like you said,
I think those peer groups are very, very important, aren't they? I think having that, we call it safe environment and flat mirror. The more you get to know people, flat mirror, and then don't let you away with any bullshit and tell you this is not you. You're not going to do that, but in a friendly and sort of safe manner. I think peer groups are hugely important to a successful business.
And especially in the landscaping industry, I think, and I've coached a lot of companies in lots of different industries, but this particular industry, I think, is very, very abundant. And there's a common theme with all the people we've had on this show is you can ask someone, just if you don't know something, or if you've got a problem, or, talk to someone, ask someone, because people 9 times out of 10 will be really receptive to that. And it's such a nice industry to be in compared to many other industries that I've worked with before. So yeah, education really, really important, and there's no fluke that obviously you've done really, really well, because I think the better you become, Steve Covey said, work harder on yourself. No, not Steve Covey, Jim Rohn. If you know of Jim Rohn,
I do.
Another brilliant, wise business philosopher. Always work harder on yourself than you do on your job, because when you become better, life gets easier. So if you start from a better knowledge base, you start making better decisions. You start then asking better questions. You then start taking better action. You start taking better action. You then get better results. So, but if you keep doing what you've always done with the knowledge you've always had, that's about as far as you can go. So it's so important to emphasize, the benefit of just constantly reading, listening, and applying it to your own situation. So, I think that's a massive lesson for everyone. So, okay then. So, what would you say the biggest mistakes that you've dealt with, or are they mistakes or challenges or problems that you overcome?
I've never made a secret of this, as I've said before. I mean, I think once upon a time we were turnover driven rather than being customer focused, and that was a huge mistake. As we got bigger, it becomes a bigger and bigger beast to feed, and you tend to just start looking for the turnover or for the jobs, and you maybe don't go in at the right margins and things that you should do, because you're trying to feed the sausage factory, it's been quite disastrous at times for us. So yeah, with being turnover driven, it's not to say that you don't want to increase your turnover and grow your business, but if that becomes your primary focus, it did for us, that was a major mistake for us.
Yeah. So another cliche then: turnover for vanity, profit for sanity.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've heard that one, but it's so true, isn't it? Because people generally in business like to band around, oh, we're turning over this amount, but there's no point in having the turnover if you're not really making any money.
Absolutely.
So you might rather have £1 million turnover making 200 grand rather than having 3 million turnover earning nothing, with all the aggro and all the time and effort it takes, to get
exactly that. And that's exactly where we were, where the profit margin was kind of largely sitting at the same place, but yet the turnover was increasing. So in real terms, in percentage terms, it was declining. And we made the decision to change that.
Yeah, well, knowing your numbers, knowing what your gross margin, your break-even gross margin needs to be, then you can think, right, okay, well, anything over and above that, we're making money. So we need to put our quotes out with confidence that they're actually going out with the right kind of margins. Obviously, deliver on those is another challenge. But very, very good then. Okay, so have you had any specific major obstacle or one particular thing in particular?
Likewise, as I say, I've never made that thing, because our accounts are audited and out there. We have literally made $1 million and lost $1 million. We had a real bad financial year going back I think that probably ran about 2016, where we took a bath on a project. Lost around about £1 million on a project that was of £3 million size. Lots of different factors, but I could sit and could blame main contractors and things, but we made a large number of errors on that project. And so I guess it's a good thing to be able to say made $1 million, lost $1 million, made $1 million again. So we've learned, and it was I guess in some ways it was that contract in many ways that led to me owning the business, in that I haven't always owned the business. I was worked my way up to managing director with Frost, and we had a Vimbo, which was a management buyout initiated by the vendor in 2018. So myself and two of the fellow directors purchased the business from the Frost family. Right. Their decision was that they wanted to focus on their core business, on their knitting, which was the 4 garden centres which they've got, which are 4 outstanding garden centres. And I believe that fundamentally the business was strong, and that we could learn some lessons, and we could rebuild the business from that point, which is exactly what we did. We had already previously made the decision to step out of the grounds maintenance and interior market, and we sold those elements off to one of the bigger boys. For me, I felt that market was a bit of a race to the bottom. So, I mean, there's some phenomenal businesses in that market, and they're probably not like me to say that they're a grounds mains, because they do much more, but you only got to look at ground control. I mean, that's just a business that's come at it from the other end. Businessmen that have gone into landscaping rather than landscapers that have become businessmen, which is kind of what most of us on this side do. We start running a landscape business, and then you wake up one day and you realize you've got a business, and you go, oh shit, I've got a business. But they've come at it the other way. But I felt it was a race to the bottom on that side, so we stopped doing that, and then we've concentrated on delivering construction projects, and we now do about a third of the turnover that we used to do, and we're far more profitable than we ever were, even at the height of our turnover. So more customer focused, less business, for the right people, right margins. We want to work for people that get us. And we get them. We might not be for everybody, but that's fair enough. But for those that do work with us and do understand us, then those are the people that we want to partner with. And it is competitive tendering what we do, but it's all also about trying to look at where you can add value. What have you got on your corporate social responsibility that aligns with those clients? What are you doing about being net carbon? All of those things. So we want to work with people that are on the same journey as we are, and for the same main contractors that are on the same journey that we're on, or we want to help them achieve their objectives ultimately by using us.
Yeah, definitely. And that corporate sustainability is only going to get more and more important, for all the tenders that you're faced with, you come with, you have to prove that you've actually got a report which could become the norm going forward, and I think it will be going forward, not too long away. It's already happening now, so it's only going to get more and more important, and rightly so. So just touching on one of those things about working with the right kind of people, I suppose that then comes back to your strategy, your business strategy, in terms of who are the right customers, who are we, what are our values, what do we stand for, and what other kind of companies or customers align are in alignment with that kind of strategy. So your target market, how you go about it, who are they, where are they, why, what's important to them, and how can we go and communicate that message? Very good. Okay then, so what have you personally found to be the most rewarding parts of running a nice, successful big business?
Yeah, I think we touched on it before. I think the people in this industry are outstanding. There are some fantastic people, like-minded, but I guess that's in any industry. But I think we're making a real contribution to the natural environment, and we're making more of a contribution along the lines of what we've just said. I love being able to give back in some way or another. We both do a little bit for the Pro Landscaper Business Awards. I have been past chair for the Association of Professional Landscapers, non-exec director for the HTA for a little while, and I've helped sort of mentor. It's probably too strong a word, but I've helped kick some people along the right sort of path, and that goes to the kind of core of who and what I am. If we go back to the beginning about wanting to save the world, I'm also currently co-founder of a children's cancer charity, Super Shoes, and I'm also chair of another charity that works in the horticultural sector that builds gardens for schools called Human Roots. So being involved with the people, being involved and realizing that I have a vessel which I can give back, which is the business. I don't have to do everything outside of the business and wait till you retire and hopefully put a little bit of a pot of money in there and then decide to do something. I kind of realized that I have a good vessel to do something with, and so I think those are the rewarding bit. The people of the industry are fantastic, and I love driving past things going, we built that, we did that, from something that was derelict or whatever to going and watching people enjoy it. Take Jubilee Gardens, which you mentioned. Go there on a summer's day and there's literally thousands of people out enjoying the park. Yeah. Somebody did a great job of designing it in the first instance, and we've gone along and constructed it. And I love that, that bit for seeing people enjoying the landscape or landscaping that you've been involved to create. I think that for me that ticks a lot of boxes.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? Really, ultimately, I suppose. And it's nice that you had many years of giving back, and there's many years of giving back still to give, isn't there? Okay. And when I invited you on, initially contacted you to come on, you're giving back now. Straight away you grabbed the opportunity and you came on. So it wasn't even a question of should I or shouldn't I do it. I think that when people listening to this, and it's becoming more and more popular, so there's more and more people getting to hear all this great stuff, it's obviously going to benefit them. And you mentioned earlier about, it's interesting you said about Ground Control was a businessman running a landscaping related maintenance company rather than the other way around, because I think that's the vast majority of people are great at what they do. They're passionate, they love building gardens or designing gardens or being involved in the industry, and then they think, oh, actually I need to get the skills now to run a business, and the two are totally different, and that's where I think some people can come unstuck, and unfortunately some of those don't always succeed because they don't have the business knowledge, but they're great, they build brilliant gardens but don't make necessarily the money they should out of it.
I mean, that's something we, with the part-time with the APL that we put together, was a business course to help people perhaps build their first ever business plan. To really have a look and think about the numbers and where they're going, and some stuff that makes sense to you, but to understand what their PIN number is. They say they're going to grow their turnover by X, but and the average job size is X, and you say, okay, well, how many opportunities do you need? How many are you going to land? How are you actually going to do that? And try and get some real sense and clarity into what they're doing, and trying to help sort of measure where they're going, so they can,
Yeah, it's a whole new world for them, isn't it? Really, because like it is with anyone starting a business, if they're generally, you would have read this book, The E-Myth. It's one of the most famous books by Michael Gerber, and he talks about that exact thing. The E-Myth being the entrepreneurial myth is that entrepreneurs start businesses, and generally they don't. It's generally the technicians, the people that are good at what they do, whether it's laying pipes, cutting hair, building gardens. and then they think, oh, actually, I need to now learn how to grow a business. So really
still learning.
Everyone's still learning, all still learning.
Every
And
day,
you've probably listened or read, listened to or read hundreds of business books. I have, and continue to do so, because there's new ones coming out with different, time changes, and times change, technology changes, life goes in, different ways. So you've got to be on top of that.
I think as well as the books, Nick, there's also the companies out there that are doing well and looking at emulating them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time, and there's some companies doing some great things, and to have a look at what is it that makes them great, and how can you apply some of that to your own situation, your own business.
Absolutely. I think it's a really, really good point, and I say that to clients quite a lot, because although it's common sense isn't always that common. And instead of starting, reinventing the wheel, someone somewhere has done exactly what you want to do, whatever industry you're in, successfully. So why try and work it out for yourself when someone's been there before? So it's a good way of researching other companies and modeling yourself on their success. I think it's a really, really good point. So I'm sure one that many people will take away. So what advice would you give someone then, if you've got someone, if someone's in a position now where they are in that position and they're struggling, or they don't really know what to do next or how to get to the next level, and they want to expand it but just don't know where to start? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, so I think we've touched on that a little bit, but I would encourage people to join one of the associations. I think that's a very good start point. Often associations get sort of criticized for what do you do for us type scenario, but you get out of an association what you put into the association. You have to engage with them, and I think a lot of the associations have group meetings, or with APL has its cluster groups, which are like-minded individuals that come together to discuss the issues and problems. So it's that problem shared, and as we said, not reinventing the wheels. I'd encourage everybody to use a mentor. I use a mentor. I've used one from Cranfield University for a number of years now after going there, and I think that just keep learning, keep reading, talk to other people inside the industry. We've touched on it, that the people in our industry are willing to share. We're not working on industrial secrets, are we?
No.
There's more than enough work to go around, and it can only benefit us all if the standards improve right across the board. So talk to other people, and talk to them on both sides. So if you're a designer, talk to the contractors. If you're a contractor, talk to the designers. Or if you're a contractor, talk to the main contractors. Understand what they need, where their problems are, what the issues are, how you can help, and the associations and mentors, reading and look where people have been successful, I think, and see what you can learn. There's life lessons to be learned everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Never stops. So you don't need to be on your own. It's a lonely old gig sometimes being a business owner, and I think those kind of associations and getting involved, talking to other people, can really, really help. You don't have to suffer in silence. You've got Barley, APL, SGD.
Institute, there's ARB association, whatever sector you're in, there's an association, and they're there to support you, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So one great thing for people to take away. So finally then, on to the last question. If you could give maybe one or two golden nuggets, you may have already sort of touched upon these, no doubt, and you can give someone some advice on how to build their business. What would be the key things that you think they would really need to have in place and go with?
So we've touched on start with the end in mind. Where is it you want to go, and kind of work backwards. It's the same with golf, isn't it? You should work from the hole backwards. What shot do you want to leave yourself into the green? So start with the end in mind and work backwards. And I've been I believe in strong ideas weakly held. So start with your strategy, be prepared to adapt it and change it if it's not right. You have an idea, try it. If it doesn't work, fail fast. Don't keep flogging the dead horse if it's not working. So strong ideas weakly held, I think. Try to stay focused. Try not to chase too much shiny stuff. You see lots of people, shiny stuff over there, and they run away over on this strategy, and then run away over on that strategy. I think, get a clear focus on where you want to be. Don't chase shiny stuff, and get a solid core business going, and then you can expand out from that into markets which are tied in, united to what it is you're wanting to, what you're wanting to do. Yeah.
Very good. So keeping the focus, having that strategy, start with the end in mind, and then work towards that plan. Don't be afraid to quit. Know when to quit.
Know when to quit. Yeah.
I think that's
strong ideas weakly held. I think is the catch-all for that. I say the marketplace is changing all the time. The world around us is changing all the time, and what's right today might not be right in 5 years' time. And trying to make a business plan, for example, that's 5 years out for me is a kind of no. 12 months, 24 months is fine. If you can see much beyond that, good, because if maybe your order book is showing that, but we really don't know. We really don't know what's going. They do say that all our kids are going to work in jobs that we've not even heard about yet. So
plan for that.
we just don't know what's coming. So be adaptable.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's good to know roughly where that is you want to go, but you can't really put a lot of detail into that because, like you say, things change. Everything changes. But I think 12 months to 24 months, you can sort of nearly feel it, touch it, and it's sort of, you've got to have that focus. And I think I like that, the expression you use about shiny objects. So keep focused on the main event. Don't get distracted by the sideshows, but that comes probably from a lack of plan. If you've got your plan and you know where you've got to go, then you can, these little temptations are there, but if you actually know, is that going to take me closer to where I want to go, or is it actually going to just sort of distract me? So I think that's a really, really good point. Wow, Ken, that's so good. So many brilliant words of wisdom in a short space of time. Hopefully people have got a lot of those golden nuggets, and they can implement them into their lives and their businesses. If there was, if people want to get in touch with you, you say you're abundant, so no doubt. If someone did need to sort of pick your brains at any point, or they wanted to engage your services as a contractor or any other areas of your business, what would be the best way for them to get in touch?
Yeah. So my email address is kwhite@frostlandscapes.com. You'll find me on LinkedIn as Ken White, and my mobile number and email address is on there, same as on Twitter, all the usual sort of social media or business platforms, and indeed my contact details are on the website for Frost Landscapes. So if I can be of assistance, I'd be more than happy to do so.
That's amazing. That's brilliant. Well, it's been really, really good speaking to you, Ken. I've enjoyed every second of it. I'm sure everyone else will as well. I shall let you go, and no doubt see you at an event in the industry before too long.
Thanks very much for having me, Nick. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolute pleasure. Cheers, Ken. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Grow Landscapers podcast. To get in touch and see how we can help you with your business by emailing nick@nickruddle.com.